What up, dog? What up, my dogs? Welcome to stream, my dogs. What up? Hi, how are you? Hey, how's it going? Hey, what up? Hey. Um Hey. How's everybody doing today? Y'all doing well? Welcome into the stream. I put my camera more in the center. So I don't know how we feel about that. New camera placement. I kind of fuck with it. We are here to do. Oh, your Jovan mug is there? Mine is too. I need to just get it out and drink out of it on stream. The black one. Yeah. Listen, we are here to debate, guys. We're here to debate. And I'm gonna add a little something to the debate board real quick. I'm gonna say MAGA are uneducated or bad people. I'm switching this up just slightly. Anyway, welcome into stream. I hope you guys are doing good. The sign is right there. It's just the camera don't reach. But it did, like literally. Guess not. I might get a wider angle lens for my camera and then it would reach. But how y'all doing? We have screeners standing by. Pillow is screening today. Say what up to Pillow. Speaking of which, Mealy Buns, Pillow, and Trans Dreamland were the first in Twitch chat today. So welcome in. Thank you for being first. Marmal 777, thank you for resubscribing for 5 months of tier 1. Trans Dreamland, thank you for resubscribing for 4 months of tier 1. Sixira, thank you for resubscribing with Prime for your second month. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free Twitch sub. Use it on me, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah, my windshield cracked on my car. I think a rock hit it, and now there's just a big crack making its way up my windshield. So that's fun. That was fun to wake up to. I blame Trump for that crack. You know, dead ass thing. Get it fixed before your whole windshield is ruined. I mean, I'm gonna have to replace the windshield. You can't just fix a crack. You gotta replace the whole thing. I ain't got money for that right now, though. Isn't it free to get it fixed in Florida with insurance? Why do people keep telling me that? No, this is like a big old crack. But listen, if you guys are here and want to support the stream, please consider you know, we got tons of ways for you to support. I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole, but y'all know how to do it. Y'all know how to support the show at this point. Remember, when we hit 75,000 YouTube subscribers, I'm giving away a Switch 2. So if y'all want to be on the list to win a Switch 2, you got to subscribe to the YouTube page. You know, Ant-Man, thank you for the gifted membership over on Twitch. Or not Twitch, YouTube, my bad. Papa Snowflake, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships over on YouTube. Jeepers creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Whaley Whiny, thank you for resubscribing with Prime over on Twitch. Y'all going ham today already, what the hell? Twitch chat over YouTube chat. I love all my dysfunctional children equally, but Twitch chat is better. Yo, Tim Walz resigned. Yet again, Democrats crumble under MAGA misinformation talking points. I mean, I get it. Homie was getting fucking death threats up the ass, but like, still. That's what I meant. I don't mean resigned as in like he resigned his post. I mean, he was not going to run in the next one. So my apologies. My apologies. That's what I meant. Still, so stupid. Tetsu, thank you for the gifted membership over on YouTube. It's really dumb, bro. Democrats proving once again they don't have spines. All because of fake stories about fake fraud and fake daycares. The right is getting out of hand. Well, here we are. Can you enter the Switch 2 at any tier on YouTube? It's not for tiered. It's just a giveaway I'm going to do randomly for when it hits 75,000 subscribers on YouTube. You don't have to be a member to enter it. Bro, I saw... MAGA are already idiots because the MTA raised its fare either today or yesterday. I think today. And they were like, oh, I thought Mamdani was blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys are stupid. You guys are just idiots. He can't undo policy that went into effect that was voted on last year in his first 5 days in office. Fucking Christ. I'm telling you, MAGA proves constantly that they're uneducated. Should it be MAGA are uneducated or bad people, or MAGA is... If you are MAGA, you're uneducated or a bad person. That's what it should say. That's what it should say. That's what it should say. Figured it out. Took me a second, but we got there at the end. No, I've not been following the race in Illinois. Oh, don't even be sorry. Did y'all see that Russia, China, North Korea, Cuba, Chile, Venezuela, and I think there might be one more. They're all like, yo, the U.S. We're about to like stop our. Guess what we're gonna do? So I'm not fighting in no goddamn World War III for y'all, for MAGA. Nah, I'm not going to war for Trump. Fuck that shit. Y'all have fun. Do you think Cuba could be Trump's next target? Yes. But what do we mean next? Cuba has consistently been a U.S. target since the 50s. This ain't no next. This is just like, will Trump continue to try to fucking topple Cuba? Like, you know, like the U.S. has been doing. I gotta remember that I sit straight now. I'm just so used to constantly sitting like this because my camera's always been here, but now the camera's here. But you know what's funny? Even the person that everybody thought Trump was gonna give it to, that one lady who won the Nobel, like everybody thought he was gonna put her in charge of Venezuela, right? A report came out that he's apparently mad at her for accepting the Nobel Peace Prize. So she probably ain't even going to get it. And it looks like he's talking about giving Stephen Miller controlling, trying to put him in charge of a controlling portion of Venezuela. Which is like, fuck, I love when Nazis get power. Stephen Miller, I'd probably decry a Nazi at this point. I need a blanket in here. It's a little chilly today. I can also lift my camera slightly so that you guys can see more of the background stuff. I just haven't done that so far. I don't know, dude. It's fucking crazy. We're in this crazy age. We're in this like absolutely crazy age of just massive disinformation. And I don't think we're coming out of it with the advent of AR. With the advent of AI, I don't think we're I mean, listen, I see fuckos, but here's the thing. Okay, this is why dead internet is so crazy. I see fucks falling for AI all the time, like AI cucks falling for fake, obviously fake AI videos on the internet. But then I look at the accounts and I'm like, these accounts also look like AI. So is it just massive parts on the internet where there's AI bots posting videos for other AI bots to comment? Is like are we officially at dead internet theory? Like dead internet already? Have we hit it there? Like, dude. Have you seen the amount? First of all, what up to me for being a YouTube channel that posts as much as I do without AI? Have you seen, like, there are YouTube channels that post like 6 times a day and it's all AI and people fall for it. Like, what are we doing, you know? God bless Trump and making AI data centers easier to build. What a guy. How are we suffering through a president that makes AI videos of him dumping diarrhea on US citizens? Like, what are we doing? That's legitimate South Park shit. Someone said, let's go Trump, Venezuela, the 51st state. Let's fucking go. Y'all would hate if Venezuela was the 51st state because it means that every Venezuelan here is no longer an illegal citizen. Everyone that was here illegally is no longer here illegally. You guys would hate that shit, please. No, I don't think it's just bots. Venezuelans are happy about the Maduro being captured. Absolutely, they are. But I like to say, they were really happy that Saddam Hussein was assassinated. They were real happy. They were toppling his statue. And then what happened? What did the United States do? Two things can be true at once. It can be true that Maduro was a bad president and was probably a fascist, like borderline fascist, if not full fascist already. And two, we should not have taken him out the way that we did because it was wholly illegal. Both of those things can be true. Was Maduro a fascist? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the UN had put out multiple reports of human rights violations from the Maduro administration. If I had a nickel for every time a Republican president used the taking out of a quote-unquote fascist leader as an excuse to siphon out oil from a place on the planet, I'd have a lot of fucking nickels. I'd have a fuck ton of nickels, bro. What was the, I think the death count was what, 30 civilians were killed in that operation? Was it up to 84? Yeah, it's about 80. It's 80 total deaths. Apparently 32 Cuban citizens were killed. I want to know the civilians. Yeah, I'm sure MAGA cares about those civilians that were killed. Golden Game Eagle, thanks so much for the gifted subs over on Twitch. Tay Unsightly, thank you for subscribing with your Amazon Prime. X Cap Panda X, thank you for subscribing with the Amazon Prime. Fuzzy Logic, thank you for subscribing for 6 months at tier 1. All over on Twitch. Yeah, I'm showing 80 both civilian and military. I just want to know what the civilian casualty is. Here's something. Maybe we don't kill civilians overseas. I don't know. Just a thought. Just a thought. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think we shouldn't kill civilians. How are MAGA going to... Oh shit, where did that go? Am I going to justify the influx of immigrants in the future that are a direct result of Trump's meddling? They're going to blame Biden. Like, let's be just for real. That's what MAGA does. They just blame Biden for everything Trump does. Like, look, there's somebody in the chat right now. Here, let's see if this person in the YouTube chat can, let's see if they're an intellectually honest person. They're claiming this is good because Maduro was a drug trafficker and we got to get those drugs. Okay. How do you square that with the fact that Donald Trump pardoned Juan Orlando Hernandez, who was a drug trafficker who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine into the United States? Trump gave him a full pardon. Square it up, homie. Can you do it? Can you square it up? What do you guys think? Will they be able to square it up, or are they just about to double down? What do y'all think? Yep, they just said, "Why are you gay?" Yeah, like I said, they always just double down in their ignorance. Because number 5, guys, read number 5. Point number 5. They said it never happened. Just read number 5. Anytime Faith, from now on, chat, that Faith Family Honor person, if they type anything, just reply to them with, just say number 5. Just reply to them number 5. That's it. That's all you need to say. All you got to say. Said it never happened, which is crazy. I don't know. You could go pull up the 30-minute press conference Trump gave of him talking about pardoning him. Are being uneducated and a bad person synonymous? No. But if you were educated, you wouldn't be MAGA. And if you're still MAGA when you're educated, you're a bad person. Guys, Trump and Hegseth admitted that this is about oil. Like, I don't even know why anybody talks about anything else. They've already said Venezuela's about the oil. They've said it. They quite literally have said it. Do I need to pull up the... Like, they both admitted it. That's why I'm just like, why are we even doing this? Quote from Trump. Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. They don't even have to hide it. At least Bush tried to hide it, right? At least when Bush went in for oil, he was like, we're going for weapons of mass destruction. Trump is like, no, it's oil, dude. We don't give a fuck. And all his little cronies licking his nuts are like, thank you, daddy. Thank you for the oil, daddy. Thank you. Thank you, Danny. What is Venezuela? Venezuela has what, like, hold on. Venezuela has, in their oil reserves, 300 billion barrels. They have nearly a fifth of all total global oil supply. Like, come on. This shit ain't rocket science. They said, thank you, daddy, for the oil, daddy. Thank you, daddy. Thank you, oil, daddy. Like, I don't know how many, like, I don't know how many times a person can admit to what they're doing. And still, and y'all just don't give a fuck. Y'all do not care. Donald Trump can openly admit what he plans to do, and y'all don't give a fuck. You just say, yes, Donald Trump daddy. Thank you, Trump daddy. Embarrassing, truly. Trump says, I've already got a plan. We're gonna run Venezuela oil. We're gonna do it. America's gonna run their oil. Listen, I've said it once, I'll say it again. If Donald Trump had gone in, gotten out Maduro, and said, in a legal way, I still think he should have done it legally, and then like, we're gonna give production of the oil back to the Venezuelan people. We're gonna let Venezuela run itself. It's a sovereign nation. They have control over the thing. I'd be like, oh, okay. That's pretty dope of you. That's pretty chill, DT. That's not what he did. That's not what he did. Not what the fuck he did. And it's even funnier to me when everybody's like, oh, we got out Maduro, the communist. Y'all couldn't fucking spell communism, bro. People have no fucking clue what communism is. Listen, I think Maduro started. I mean, he came off the back of Chavez. I think he started that way, right? I don't think he implemented any real push towards actual communism. But you're right. Let's give the oil. Let's give it all back. Let's give it back to Exxon. Makes total sense. Thank you, Trump Daddy. Thank you. Embarrassing. You. Someone called me a coward? What? The lines are literally open, numbnuts. I'm literally watching the screener screen people's calls right now. What? Be so for real, dude. Do they know what coward means? God, no, they don't. Of course not. Come on. Come on. These toe lickers have never... They couldn't spell coward. Okay. Do we take this first call? Do we grab this first? Do we grab this first call? Grab this first one on the list? Okie dokie. Hey guys, next up, or I guess first up to the show, we have David. Now, David does not think MAGA's uneducated or a bad person. They actually were MAGA up until recently, and they think MAGA still brings up some good points. So let's see if David can prove us wrong. David, if you can hear me, please provide me with your age and your pronouns. Okay, 19, he, him. Okay, David. Now, you think MAGA can still bring up good points. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sure. What points?
Well, more specifically, I find that not necessarily to the extreme that it's been taken, but having a general America First policy before getting involved in foreign affairs, I feel like is a good idea, especially with how many people, at least I'm speaking when I say many people, mostly from my family, so I do have a little bit of a biased pool of info here, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. But basically, they believe that America's had a really hard economic time, so it's better to spend at least some time focusing more on our economy than getting involved with others.
Sure. What specific legislation out of you can look at Trump's first term, we can look at this term so far. Which of his legislations are leading to America First, are leading to benefits for Americans over foreign nations?
Okay. Well, I can't list any specific legislation, and I have to say, especially second term wise, I haven't really seen any legislation from him that supported more America First stuff, which is primarily why I've split off from most of the main MAGA movement. I felt like he promotes a more bastardized, propagandized version of it than following through with his word.
Okay, so MAGA the educated part is they believe that we need to do America's first, but they favor and support Trump, who's not implementing America First policies.
Yeah, I feel like, having the belief that we should focus on ourselves more than, say, focusing on when we should kidnap the Venezuelan president is probably a bonus, right? Because
Yeah, it just
I wasn't
feels
too
like
happy about that.
it just feels like they're not proving that they're educated if they're going to side with the person who's not doing America First policies. I feel like that would
No,
be
I don't
proving that
necessarily
you're
feel like they're not
uneducated.
educated. I just feel like they're making poor decisions.
Why are they making that poor choice?
Well, for one, when it comes to America First, I really felt like doing that until, Venezuelan kidnap thing kind of was a blatant
No.
fuck
But
you in the
if
face.
they want, hold on. But if they want America First and they vote for someone that's not America First, why would they be doing that?
If someone like runs on lies or false promises, like Trump specifically saying he's going to release the Epstein files and then releasing walls of black text is kind of, it's not a lie, but it is kind of a lie.
Did we have any evidence to suggest that Trump wouldn't do America First policies?
I guess a little bit, yeah. He was
A little.
little
I'd
bit
say we had
too...
4 years worth of evidence.
Okay, well that's fair. That's fair.
So
I guess
my
I'm trying to be a
point
little
would
kinder with
be,
my words.
if they're claiming what was I gonna say? If they're claiming America First and that Trump will do America First, but they have 4 years of Trump policies that show that he doesn't put America first, and they still support him now going into year 6 of Donald Trump having some sort of presidential office, I would say that leads me to believe they're a little bit uneducated, right?
Yeah, I would say that, especially since there's a quote from a book, but people will believe what they either want to believe or what they're afraid is true. And so a lot of people wanted to believe that he was some sort of, godsend kind of, trump card, no pun intended, because, during COVID, everyone was stressed. The economy was kind of not great. So having somebody with a catchy rally cry who also has a very, very good PR team lie to them and say that he was for their interests, unless you wanted to do like a lot of deep research, it was kind of easy to believe.
Yeah, I would say that's an issue with education. They were uneducated. They're uneducated on Trump politically, and if they were educated on Trump politically, they wouldn't side with him anymore.
That's fair.
Unless they're bad people. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a personal question. Why should we do America first?
I feel like, and I don't think this should be a policy 100% of the time, but I feel like in times of great economic stress, it's better to refocus on ourselves first before we get involved in foreign affairs.
How do we how though? Like how specifically?
This is where my uneducated part shines through a little. I'm not a greatly politically educated on specific ways of doing things, but if I had to say, I'd probably start with promoting foreign and local production of goods and services to put money back into the economy. If I had to.
But we can take a look at the economy both pre-COVID and post-COVID. Wages were going up, right? It wasn't about it wasn't about, in my personal opinion, economic stressors. If we look at cost of living, that's on the rise, but that's not due to like production issues. I would say the cost of living on the rise is due way more to greed than it is to anything else. How can we have, look at COVID? How can we have companies that are doing record-breaking profits even during COVID, and yet the cost of labor stay stagnant?
Well, I'd have to say probably because a lack of competition. I mean, you got these big companies. There isn't really anyone who can. What?
Where is there a lack of competition?
Well, take Walmart. right? Costco, you wanted to go get food during COVID. You weren't going to go to your local mom and pop shop.
You
went
just
to
mean
the
like during like during COVID times. Like there's sure, yeah,
yeah, right.
I can
And I
agree
mean,
that there was a
it's
lack of
still
competition during COVID.
kind of around now,
But I mean Walmart's a great example. Like even you can even look at like Walmart ran mom and pop shops out of business well before COVID happened. And then all
yeah,
communities now have to rely on these big mega stores that get, I mean, Walmart specifically, Walmart is the number one employer of welfare recipients in the United States. Their
sorry,
employees
what's a
need
welfare
to,
recipient?
like people who need SNAP or welfare benefits. Walmart
Oh, okay.
employs, so Walmart like triple dips. Walmart pays people too little to afford groceries so that those people now need SNAP benefits. Now they're hiring people who need government assistance, so they're getting a kickback from the government for hiring those people. Then they get the money that the government spends on SNAP benefits from the people buying food at Walmart with their SNAP benefits. Walmart triple dips.
Yeah, I had no idea. That's actually, damn, that's kind of AIDS. Jeez.
And you know who does nothing about it? Definitely not Trump. Now
Another thing I'm actually kind of upset about is, I don't know if you remember, but the entire vaccine thing where he was big pharma, big number, big tech, and all that. I have yet to see him actually put forth. I mean, I'm not saying I agreed with everything he said about these, especially big pharma and stuff, like, oh, medicine company bad. But I feel like if he really believed that they were a huge issue, he would employ the pre-existing antitrust laws, and he hasn't, which leads me to believe he was just kind of saying it for publicity.
Trump made it harder for consumers to be protected.
Yeah, which is kind of, it upset me a lot because he was like running on protecting like individual consumer rights.
Yeah, what was it? Was it the FTC that he like destroyed, or was it the CFPB? Like he destroyed one of the only government agencies that put money back in the pockets of consumers. That would like when they would sue companies who were screwing over the CFPB. Yeah, it was the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He like ruined that. He ruined this, them, and didn't ruin. He made it so that companies could skirt past a lot easier. So, like all this money that we were giving back to consumers who were being shafted by these companies, Trump was like, "No, the companies should keep that money." It's bullshit.
We've got to destroy the consumers.
Yeah. So at this point, if you still support Donald Trump, if you're still MAGA, then, like I said, you're either uneducated or you're a bad person. I don't think there's an in between.
I think MAGA specifically, not like there's the MAGA that like Trump runs on, but there's also like the idea of making America great again in the first place, which I feel like, are the same, but they're a little different too. Because you can have people who want to make America great again that aren't Trump supporters or Trump supporters anymore, at least.
But
I feel like
make America great again. What did that even mean? Like it meant nothing. Like it was lip service. It had no what do we make America great in what respect?
I think that's where kind of Donald Trump failed. He made a general, broad, hope-filled statement, and then he refused to elaborate on, or he did elaborate on how he was going to make the country greater, and then just didn't do it.
Yeah, I think it's just pretty clear that MAGA people are either uneducated or they're bad people. And like I have access to all the same information they have, so it's not bad. Like being uneducated isn't necessarily a bad thing, but not educating yourself, I don't think is great.
I feel like there was a lot of, and I mean, to be fair, if we're talking strictly like people who still fiercely support Trump, I don't want to call them bad. I guess that's just me because I'm like afraid of name calling people. But if we're going like for the Trump stands, I guess I feel like not necessarily that they're bad people, but they aren't. I wouldn't personally want to hang around them. But I also feel like like I said, MAGA is a very catchy phrase. It gave people a lot of hope, especially when a lot of people, at least on the Republican side, during the 2019 through 2024, felt like America was going towards a newer, worse direction. I felt like it gave them a lot of hope that maybe things would change, and I think a lot of them still haven't gotten out of that mindset of, oh, we just got to hang in there for a few more years and it'll get better.
I think the thing, and this is the last thing I'll say, because I think we aren't really in much disagreement anymore. I think the thing that they wanted changed was they didn't want a black person to be president anymore. I'll be completely honest with you, because what was their issue coming out of Obama's Obama's presidency? The economy was doing great. What was their issue? Their issue was the social stuff. Their issue was they couldn't walk around yelling at immigrants anymore without getting accosted. They couldn't be openly. That was their issue. Like, let's just call it what it really was. They were tired of seeing a black man in the office. And they've said, well, if we get Democrats, we're going to end up with black people again. Color of skin. It's pretty obvious. Like, that's what happened, because everything that they were happy about Trump, they were like, oh, Trump had record black unemployment. So did Obama. Trump was raising the wage. So did Obama. Like, there was literally everything. It was all because they didn't want to see a black man in office. But David, thank you for calling in. You have a good rest of your day.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
And enjoy.
You have a good day, man.
He said Obama was a mulatto. Yo, who remembers that fucking 3/4 coon? Yo, shout out to all my black people that remember that video. Yeah, my bad. I said pregnancy. I'm 1/5 master and 1/4 coon. Is that what I don't remember what she says specifically. MAGA ain't beating the uneducated my dingers. I don't think to answer the YouTube chat, I don't think there's ever been a communist state. You'd have to be global to be communist. You can have communist parties that run a state, but I don't think that makes the state communist. I don't know how you could be communist with a state. Obama. Take the next call. This one's going to be a fun one, I think. Coming up next to the show, we have Puff and Play, who says there is compelling evidence to be Christian. So let's see what that compelling evidence would be. Puff and Play, what is your age and pronouns?
27. He, him, she, they.
He, him, / she, they. Okay. No problem. So you said there is compelling evidence for Christianity. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. In scientific history, they've proven that Jesus Christ was an actual person, that he actually did walk the earth, and they actually have found Noah's Ark as well. There's been scientific proof of that and news channels reporting on that back in the day and whatnot.
Okay. Two things. One, I'm agnostic on Jesus actually existing. I don't think there is actually much compelling evidence to tell me that he was a real person, but I can say, sure, he might have been a real person. Doesn't mean he was a deity of any kind or a messiah or anything like that. Two, Noah's Ark has never been found. There's been no valid archaeological evidence of Noah's Ark.
It was in the news when I was a youngster and whatnot. So, I mean, I did see it in the news. They were spreading it across the church when I was going to a church and whatnot.
Sure. There have been a lot of falsified claims that Noah's Ark has been found. A lot of people who've quite literally lied and pretended. that they found Noah's Ark, but there have been no verified archaeological findings of anything related to the Ark.
Then why are there pictures of Noah's Ark on the mountain being spread across the internet then?
Because Christians like to lie.
Yeah, kind of figured that. But Jesus Christ was an actual person, though. That is a given fact. I mean, you can go look at scientists, archaeologists, and whatnot. I mean, there's legitimate proof of it.
We have no archaeological evidence of Jesus Christ. The only evidence, the thing that that is most used to prove Jesus' existence as a real human is going to be the writings of Tacitus and Josephus, which each of them only wrote about one line. Josephus mentions Jesus sort of in passing and says that Christians worship this dude named Jesus. Doesn't really claim that he existed or not. Tacitus does the same. He says Christus, for which what is it specifically? Christus, for which Christians are named after, was a guy who existed, and then Pontius Pilate crucified him. That's about it. That's all either of them say about Christ. Both of which could just be repeating stuff that they've heard. It's not any real evidence of his existence. So that's why I'm agnostic on the existence of Jesus. Could a person have existed named Jesus that was crucified by the Roman state? Absolutely could have happened. But again, would that make him the Messiah or a deity of any kind? I would argue no. Oh, you're breaking up a little bit there, Puff. You're breaking up.
I apologize about that. I have a crap phone. I use Straight Talk Wireless on the Verizon. You know, I don't got good connection, so I'm in rural areas. So I mean, I do apologize about that.
Better. It sounds better now, so you're good.
Well, I mean, I agree with the end of your point right there when you were stating that the Messiah and stuff, like, there may have been, like, people looking up to him as a Messiah. There may, like you said, may have been a person named Jesus crucified, but, I mean, I've seen history on it. I've tried to study on it as well, too. So, I mean, I get your point. There's my point. You know, I'm just trying to be very respectful about it and whatnot. I'm also looking at the chat right now too. It seems like somebody wants me to say something, but I'm debating.
I wouldn't do it. I would just say if like when it comes to the Bible, when it comes to the claims Christianity makes, there is no evidence to support quite literally any of the magic claims. There's no evidence to support the resurrection. There's no evidence to support Jesus did miracles. There's no evidence to support the earth was flooded at the time the Bible claims it was flooded. There's evidence of widespread floods, just not like across the entire earth. There's no evidence that people can live to be 600 years old like Noah did. There's no evidence of any of these things. So I take all of the magic claims the Bible makes and I throw it out and I say this is nonsense. And then when I look at what else the Bible says, I'm like, well, it can't really be a Jesus, like a magical Jesus without the magic. You would just be a person. So. I'm sorry, Puff. You're breaking up again. You're breaking up again, Puff. Yeah, I can't really. No, sorry, Puff.
Am I coming in clear?
Now you are. Right now you are.
Okay, so I was saying I agree with some of the points you just made about the flooding and the resurrection. The resurrection, I don't understand that myself either, because how can you resurrect from the dead? If you're dead, you're dead. You can't respawn. It's not a video game.
Correct.
And then the flooding of the earth too, that's physically impossible for the earth unless all the ice sheets and everything fell into the ocean and made the ocean rise by 8% or so.
There is evidence that there was flooding across the globe at the time of the polar ice caps melting, or not the polar ice caps, but the time of like the melting of the ice age. Like there's evidence that there was flooding across the globe. There's no evidence that it happened at the time they make the claim that Noah happened, and there's no evidence that it was fully global. Like there were tons of places that did not experience flooding.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, beat me in the debate on that. First debate on YouTube ever.
All right. Well, Puff, thank you for calling in then, and hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too as well. Thanks for having me on. Glad to be on here, to be on the debate on YouTube. That actually lets me to debate instead of making me go through a paywall.
It's all good. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Oops, they weren't finished, but sorry. I didn't know they were going to keep going. That's funny. Somebody just liked a reel of mine on Instagram, and their username is "The Bible is Fan Fiction." That's so funny. I love theism calls. Love a good theism call. Goddamn, Christians call in. I love talking to Christians about their wildly ridiculous claims. Jesus was dead for 3 days and he came back to life. Fucking prove it. You can't. 219-327-8005, guys. If you want to debate, call in. By the way, if you want to support the show and support the call-in line, Cash App and Venmo are on screen. Make sure you pause. Resume. Make sure you support the stream if you want to continue sticking it to the MAGA. Remember, we have no corporate sponsors over here. I don't fucking get money from any sort of corporation. Fucking, where's my who's that dude they keep claiming? Where's my George Soros check, dude? For real. George Soros, let's go. Pay me, bro. I'm right here. Where's my $7,000 influencer check? Nowhere, because I'm never going to shill for Israel. Relax, Mom. I'm playing Minecraft. Yo, thank you guys for the super chats. I promise to read all the super chats at the end of stream. So shout out to YouTube for the super chats. I gotta pee, and then we'll take the next call. I think the next call is a MAGA call, so we'll take that. Yeah, we'll take it in a second. I'm gonna go tinkle, and then we'll do it. BRB. Dude, with all the stuff that I've been putting up in my office is a fucking mess. I need to see, now that it's dark out, I need to see how this top light. I bought a top light, okay? Up here. So there was no light here because it's new construction, but it had a panel for a light. So I bought a Govee ceiling light, which so far I like, but it's very bright when you do white. It's not bright at all when you do like a colored light. Sorry, a light of color. So first I'm going to turn off my blue studio lights. So there we go. No blue. Oh yeah. That doesn't blue at all. It's on full blue up there. That doesn't do anything, but so that's good to know. But when I do white, right? If I change it to white, this isn't. Why is it doing that? What is going on? I don't want the segment. Whole light management. When I do white, it's bright as fuck. Maybe I just do a bright light instead. I mean, I don't need my light to be blue. That's just been what I've been doing. I don't know. What do you guys think? What if I turn it off and I don't have color? Ew. Let's peep some other colors. This is red. Oh, red's a little bit better than the blue. It's just a slight hue of red. Orange, green, or yellow, green, blue, purple. You really don't notice. It's full bright. That's what's kind of crazy about it. It's full brightness. I wonder if, you know what I didn't check? I wonder if there's a film. Oh shit, there could be like a film on it that I did not take off. You know, it looks like there might be too. Oh shit. Wait, I bought two of them. Let me get the other one and check. That would be so funny. Because all the videos I watched before I bought this, I was watching people and their rooms were crazy. I was like, oh, that lights up really well. There's a fucking film on it, isn't there? There still could not be. There might not be. Okay, let me check on this other one. Because I bought two, one for my living room. So if the one for my living room has a film on it, that means that has a film on it, and that's why the color isn't coming through as much. Which means I gotta get on my ladder and get back up there. These things are like 89 bucks right now. I was like, that's a great fucking deal, dude. No, there's no film on this, dude. There's no film. That's just the color. Darn. Totally no film on this. How are people getting that color then out of it from all those videos I watched, dude? Anyway, I guess I'll turn the studio lights back on. And let's see if I can just add a little white up to the top of me. Oh. And it really kicks, the white is so bright. Like, it's kind of crazy comparatively how much the brightness of the white is compared to the brightness of the blue. How's this look? I really just got to get somebody in here who knows lighting and have them just treat my setup. Anyway, let's, how many of these do they sell? Did I just buy? Oh. Are there more than one? Are there more than one version of these? And that's what happened? How many lumens? $4,300. 4,300. I actually think that's the max. No, I bought the max. It's disappointing. It's disappointing, the color. The white is great. So when I'm in here actually working, the white is great. I love that. I'm still going to keep it for the white, but I am disappointed in the color a little bit. This is 1% with an orange tinge. Maybe that we keep. That I actually don't mind. This I don't mind. All right. Who's ready to take another caller? Let's bring up the next caller. Coming up next to the show, we have Jason. Now, Jason, he does not think it's good to say that MAGA are all uneducated. Let's see if Jason can prove me wrong that they are. Jason, if you can hear me, please provide me with your age and pronouns.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Jason. I'm 35, and I use he, him pronouns.
Okay, now, Jason, you think it's bad to call MAGA uneducated. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it's not like a super accurate way to understand reality.
Why wouldn't it be?
I mean, I think that when we're talking about politics in the United States, 90% of the people that you talk to, regardless of which side they're on, are going to be kind of idiots. And so I'm sure that you can find examples of people on the right being dumb, like QAnon or whatever. But I think that there's just as many, like very often when I'm talking to a Democrat, I feel like I'm talking to someone who is just as uneducated. And the idea that truth belongs to one side of the political aisle, I just think is like really grug-brained, partisan, just like idiocy,
Wait, I'm sorry. So you're saying I'm right. I'm just should be also saying the other side is also uneducated?
No, I mean, what I would say is that I wouldn't say that
95% of you said 95% of them. You just said 95% of them are stupid. I'm not even using the word stupid.
Right, but that's not specific
you're
to
using
one side, right?
Yes,
so
I know. So you're saying I'm right. It's just
right.
You're saying I'm right. It's if 95% of them are stupid, then there's not plenty of smart ones of them, are there?
Yeah, I guess that I was more approaching this from the perspective of like, are the ideas dumb themselves? Do they select for dumb people? And I would argue that the answer to that is obviously no.
Here's what it is. MAGA are uneducated. They do not know political policy. They do not know what Donald Trump is doing. They just support him blindly. And when they become educated, they either leave MAGA or they stay with MAGA because they're bad people and they like that his policies hurt a large majority of people.
Yeah, I think that that's like a really, really silly way of looking at it.
Okay, prove it wrong. Do you think Donald Trump's policies hurt people?
As a characteristic of MAGA, right? And it's like, yeah, you can go through and cherry pick the dumb ones on either side. It's not really interesting.
I think the people that are educated are bad people.
Yeah. So what makes them bad people?
Sure. Let's talk about his immigration policy, and we'll label it. When I talk to people who are MAGA about Donald Trump's immigration policy, they're either uneducated or they're bad people, because what I'm going to bring up to them is, hey, Donald Trump is sending innocent people to concentration camps in third countries. And they go, no, he isn't. And then I show them the proof that he is doing this. And then they go, oh, well, it's a good thing he's doing this. So thus proving that they're bad people, because they've now been educated on the fact that he's essentially human trafficking people to concentration camps, but they don't care because they're groups of people that they don't like.
I mean, that's your framing of it. I have a qualm with the idea of referring to any of these people as innocent.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Let's take the direct example. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is 100% innocent. He's never committed a criminal offense. He was here legally. He had a withholding of removal. He was here legally, right? He wasn't breaking any laws.
No.
Yes. Yes. He had a withholding of removal.
He was not here legally.
What do you think having a withholding of removal means? It's the government saying
the
it's okay that you're here.
Was only to one country.
Doesn't matter.
He had a valid deportation
it's still the
order
government.
Wait,
no, he didn't have a valid deportation order. That's why he's back. It's because he didn't have a valid deportation order.
No, he's back because he had an order of removal, a limit on that order of removal to one specific
and currently
country.
He's not in ICE.
He was sent to
he's
that
currently not in ICE custody.
He had a valid deportation order.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He had no valid. No, he didn't. It was not valid because he had a withholding. It It was not a valid order.
But only
it was an illegal.
So
wait,
do you
hold on? Do you acknowledge?
Hold
on. Wait. Do you acknowledge that his removal was illegal?
I would say that it was based off of an error, right? I don't know if I've
no. It was illegal to remove him. This was affirmed by the Supreme Court. So now you're going.
It was not.
You want to bet? How much would you like to put on this?
I'm not a betting man, but I'm very confident.
You're very confident. Okay, so when I prove you wrong, you're going to admit that you were wrong, right?
100%.
Okay, great. Let's pull up the actual Supreme Court order, the actual Supreme Court decision, which is Noam v. Abrego Garcia. Let's pull it up, and I'll read you verbatim from the actual Supreme Court order. Give me a second. On March 15, 2025, the United States removed Armando Abrego Garcia from the United States to El Salvador, where he's currently detained in the Center for Terrorism Confinement, CCOT. The United States acknowledges that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. So do you agree that his removal to El Salvador was illegal?
Yeah, I think it was improper. Like, to me,
Nope. Stop. Nope. We're not going to do justifications. We're not going to backflip to try to save ourselves from this. I told you the Supreme Court labeled his removal to CCOT as illegal. You said no, they didn't. In the literal second sentence of the Supreme Court case, they said it was illegal. So do you now agree that it was illegal? Or are you going to prove point number 5?
I think that so it's like, I don't really want to get into a semantic conversation.
It's not semantics. You told me if I proved you wrong, you would admit it. That is what you told me.
Let me just explain to you what the sentence says.
No, you don't have to explain to me what the sentence says. The sentence says, because he was removed to El Salvador, this was illegal. You don't have to play semantics. We don't have to do this game. It's acknowledging that his removal was illegal. No, I don't.
You have to let me respond.
You're fucking flip-flopping right now. You said you would admit if the Supreme Court said it was illegal, you said you'd admit it was illegal. Here's the Supreme Court saying it's illegal, and you're bending over backwards to defend Donald Trump. It's not what it says? And that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. And that, I'll read it again. And that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. I'll read it one more time. And that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. Do I need to read it 4 more times?
Well, you're reading the wrong part of the sentence.
Oh, I'm reading the wrong part of the sentence now. Oh, my apologies.
Yeah,
what's the right part of the sentence I should read?
I'm happy to educate you.
Sure. What's the right part of the sentence I should read?
Right. So the beginning of the sentence starts off by saying the United States acknowledges. Right. So do you know what who the United States is in that sentence? Like, who are they referring to?
It's Chris. It's no.
So it's the U.S. attorneys trying the case.
Nome.
So all the Supreme Court is saying here in the introductory paragraph is that issue about whether or not the removal was in accordance with law is not a question before the court, because even the United States has acknowledged this. And the United States has explained it's an administrative error in the very next sentence, which is what I said. Right? So the Supreme Court is not making any declaration in this.
They're not making a declaration? Here, hold on. Wait, let me just confirm. The United States acknowledges that Abrego Garcia was subject to a withholding order forbidding his removal to El Salvador, and that the removal to El Salvador was therefore illegal. The United States acknowledges not only that they had an order, but that the removal to El Salvador was actually illegal. Wait, let me read it one more. Wait, I must be misreading because what you said is that they're not proclaiming it to be illegal. The United States acknowledged that he was subject to an order.
The Supreme Court is not.
And the United States acknowledged that his removal was illegal. Interesting.
So your understanding of that sentence is that the Supreme Court is saying that in the sentence?
Supreme Court is reaffirming that his removal was illegal by stating that the United States acknowledges the United States acknowledges that his removal was illegal, and the Supreme Court's affirming it's illegal. The Supreme Court also affirms it's illegal when they say later on that his due process was not fulfilled, and it is illegal not to provide someone with due process. That's unlawful. Here we go again. Nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that this is specifically Sotomayor giving his statement, which is what they do. Nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that stop. Never. Do you know how Supreme Court decisions? Do you know what they do? They hand down their decisions, and then each Supreme Court justice will talk about the decision and explain it. So here's Sotomayor
I'm well
saying,
aware. No,
nevertheless,
I was
I
just
don't
laughing
think you
because
are. I
you
think,
referred to
I don't
Sotomayor
think you are.
as a male. She's female.
Oh, my fucking apologies. God damn, what did you fucking do? Nevertheless, I agree with the court's order that the proper remedy is to provide Abrego Garcia with all the process of which he would have been entitled had he not been unlawfully removed to El Salvador. What's unlawfully mean?
Not in accordance with law.
And what does that mean?
Well, so if you'll let me
what does that
explain
mean?
myself.
What does unlawfully mean?
I've acknowledged since the very beginning that he was removed.
Sorry, can you just tell me what does
improperly,
unlawfully mean?
But I already gave you the exact definition of that, not in accordance with law.
Okay, so if they removed him unlawfully, does that mean they did something illegal? Because it was not in accordance with the law?
It depends, honestly. Like what do you mean by illegal? Right?
That means the government must comply with its obligation to provide Abrego Garcia with due process of law, including notice and an opportunity to be heard in any future proceedings, meaning they didn't provide him due process of law. Is it illegal for the government to not give someone due process of law? Is that illegal?
Generally, yes. It's
right. So did the government do something illegal when they removed Kilmar Abrego Garcia and sent him to a literal concentration camp?
So are you going to let me respond, or are you just going to cut me off?
I want you to respond intellectually honestly. What you're doing right now is you're being dishonest.
I am doing it intellectually honestly. If you let me respond,
and it's very embarrassing. I don't think I will be, but go ahead.
You're just too impatient.
Go ahead and respond.
Yeah,
I don't think I'll be satisfied.
It depends on what context you're referring to someone committing an illegal act. For example, in the criminal context, you have to show something called mens rea, right? Guilty mind, that they knew that what they were doing was wrong and they did it anyway, right? Whereas here, the government's position was that this was an administrative error, right? So this can be considered unlawful without there being any specific illegal misconduct by anyone in the government, right? Everyone has acknowledged that he had this removal order and that for some reason he was removed anyway. That's an administrative error at least. I don't think anyone's denied that. Right, but I still wouldn't. So your original claim, so it's like, yeah, was he removed in a way that contravened the rights that he was meant to receive under the law? Sure, right, but I still wouldn't consider him to be innocent.
The question was never, is he innocent? That was never the question brought up.
That's what you said 5 minutes ago. That is what you said.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about, was he legally sent out of the country? The answer is no. It was illegal.
Yeah, it was
removed
done
illegally.
In contradiction to the withholding order.
It was done illegally. And he was an innocent person with no criminal history, also affirmed by the Supreme Court.
Wait, so if you don't have a criminal history, you're innocent?
If you're not convicted guilty of a crime, you are innocent in the eyes of the law.
Right, but we're not accusing him of a criminal act. We're saying that he broke immigration law.
Except he already went through immigration court and proved.
Yeah, and he got a lawful order of removal.
He didn't have a lawful order of removal. That's why he's still here.
So if we look that up, are you going to admit when you were wrong?
That his order of removal was lawful? No,
yeah,
because his order of removal was to El Salvador. That means it
limited his deportation
his order of
to
removal,
Venezuela specifically.
His order of removal was to El Salvador, which means it was not lawful.
So ultimately, when I'm talking about in 2019, he had a lawful removal order issued against him in 2019 with a limiting condition only for the specific country, Venezuela. Right, so we could have deported him to another country. And we do deport people to countries.
El Salvador.
Yeah, because he got sent to CCOT with the other Venezuelans. That's why I misspoke. To El Salvador, there was the limiting order only for that country. But they could have deported him to any other country, and his due process would not have been violated.
I'm sorry. The withholding order is not an order of removal.
No, these are two separate things. Right,
sure,
so he had a valid order of removal, right, and then on top of that, they had a limiting. They said that he couldn't be deported to that one specific country.
Give me the removal order.
Give me 1 second.
Because what I'm showing is that a formal removal order, had not been issued in 2019 and was not issued until 2025 in March, when he was wrongfully removed to El Salvador.
Give me 1 second.
So I'd love to see this 2019 order of removal.
I am going to pull that up, but while we're waiting just for the content, do you want to continue talking? I can search for this while we talk.
No, I want to wait. Because we'll just move on from this is like hinges on your whole argument. Your whole argument hinges on him having a lawful removal order in 2019, which he didn't.
Right. So here's Reuters. So there's an article that was published on April 11, 2025, titled "Trump Administration Says Man Was Deported to El Salvador in Error" by Susan Heavey and Ted Hessen. And in this article, they refer to a talks about this was an oversight, and the removal was carried out in good faith based on the existence of a final order of removal. And
yes, that final order of removal was made in 2025, not 2019. 2019, he was here legally.
So. In order to have a withholding order, generally you have to have an order of removal.
No, that's not how his withholding order came.
Procedurally, I don't think
No. That's totally wrong. The way he got his withholding order is he was picked up in connection with a gang traffic stop. Right when he was picked up, the cops found out that he was illegal, and so they sent him to because he was found here to be here illegally. Right, he was sent to immigration court, where the judge said, "Well, why did you come to America?" And he said, "Well, I came to seek asylum." The judge said, "Well, you missed your asylum date." He gave enough evidence to show that going back to El Salvador was dangerous for him. So the judge said, "Okay, you missed your asylum date, so we can't grant you asylum, but we'll grant you a withholding of removal. So that way you cannot be sent back to El Salvador because that is a dangerous place for you. And you've given enough evidence to show us that that would be dangerous for you and your family."
So
he got an order.
I hate to say it, but you were incorrect about this. So third country removal, I'm not talking about third country removal.
I'm not talking about third. I don't know what who's talking about third country removal.
So being
El Salvador is the country
outside of the United States is all I mean by that.
Wait,
right?
Again,
so
but his removal order
of the country,
his removal order by Rubio was not a third country removal. It was to El Salvador.
Okay, so I found an article explaining the law, because you're not taking my word for it. So you type in "updates on third country removals and the DVD litigation." This was posted on June 26th on cliniclegal.org. And explains the process that you would get in withholding of removal. And in order to do it, the court issues an order of removal and then withholds deferred removal to a specific country. Right? So procedurally, there is no way to get that withholding order unless you have a final order of removal.
No, he received no formal removal order in 2019. This is everything your thing hinges on. He did not receive that.
No, that's what I'm. So, do you agree that he received a withholding in 2019?
Yes.
Right. So what I'm explaining to you, and what the website I just described to you,
Sorry, what was that website?
Is that procedurally, it's called cliniclegal.org is the website, and then the title of the article is "Updates on Third Country Removals and the DVD."
So an update they made in 2025 affected it so that he didn't have an order of removal in 2019. This update is from 2025.
No.
Holy shit, dude.
Try to track the conversation. Right. So what this explains is that procedurally, a judge cannot grant you a withhold or deferred removal unless there is already an order of removal. Right. That's not something that you can even file for until you have that order of removal. And so the process that he underwent in 2019 when he went before the immigration judge was that he was given, and these are two separate things, but they were you get the order of removal first, and then you get the withholding, right? And so he had an order of removal since 2019. I believe that he was in the country since 2011, right? So this is
Sorry,
an individual who
can you
entered the
read me
country
exactly where on this page it says that a judge, you have to have a removal order to be granted a withholding?
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Because this says that ICE is talking about. Did you just do an AI overview? Did you actually read this thing that you told me to look at?
No, but let me find the one part.
Because I'm reading it. ICE's directive focuses on non-citizens who already have removal orders, but whose removals have not been executed. This
Right
population,
here.
as discussed
Yeah,
above,
yeah. So in the second,
may
in the
include
second
non-citizens granted
paragraph.
withholding removal. It says may.
So
It says may.
In the second paragraph, second sentence, it starts off with when granting these forms of relief. Do you see it?
Yes, but if you read the part earlier,
right. So
it says that it may talk
I'm
about
read aloud.
withholding.
You can follow
Holy
along
shit!
silently. It says, when
you're
granting these
okay.
forms of relief and
You're
protection.
not going to talk over me. I'm muting you. You're not going to talk over me. I'm reading that part. You're ignoring the context of the sentence prior that says this population, as discussed above, may include non-citizens granted withholding removal or cap protection. It says may. What are we doing here? It literally says may. Like, is this funny? Or is this a joke? I'll unmute you now, but like, is this a joke? Is this what we're doing today?
So I'm just going to read it again, right? So this is the way that the procedure goes, right? So when granting these forms of relief and protection, the immigration judge must enter an order of removal and then withhold or defer, right? And so in order to get a withholding or a deferral, you must first have the order. Otherwise, you can't even file for this type of relief.
And here's the fun part. Sure. I'll take it that this says that this is what a judge has to do. Kilmar Garcia still didn't have a 2019 order of removal. It didn't exist. There was no formal order of removal placed. It even says that in the.
Well, then he didn't have a withholding order. Then
nope, he still had a withholding. I can pull up the withholding order on I can pull up the literal court document.
Is that you can't file for that type of
except
relief
the document exists.
A lawful
Wait, how come
order.
I can pull up the withholding order, but you can't pull up the removal order?
I mean, I'm sure that if I had enough time to find it, I probably could, but I don't really think that it's like, I think that I've already proven it, just given the way that this process works.
No, that hasn't proved it, because every single source on Abrego Garcia is telling us that there was no formal removal order placed for him.
So can you show me one source that says that actually? That there was no formal removal order and not just a withholding?
Yeah.
I don't think that you can find a single source that says that.
You want a minute? Give me a second. I'm looking it up. Here we go. This is going to be from the District Judge Paula Zenas. This was in 2019. Okay. I'm sorry, this was 2025. After repeatedly asking, ICE has failed to produce a so-called final order of removal, which is the legal document obtained from an immigration court required for deportation for Abrego Garcia. They couldn't produce his legal order of deportation. They didn't have it. Seems like if one was filed in 2019, they would have it, right? So why is the judge saying they haven't produced it? And here the judge is saying, after repeatedly asking, they have failed to produce a final order of removal. They failed to produce that legal document.
Yeah, I feel like you're in a little bit of a catch-22 because your argument depends on
what the fuck is
the idea that he had this order of removal.
No, my argument doesn't hinge on that at all.
That's not possible.
My argument doesn't hinge on that at all. Your argument hinges on it. My argument is that there was no order of removal for him in 2019. Your argument is that there was,
right.
And you've yet to be able to produce hold on, you haven't been able to produce that order. I'm here showing you that the judge is saying we've asked ICE for the order. They can't produce the order. What are you talking about?
Right. So I misspoke. So let me reiterate. So your argument.
Sorry, misspeak these nuts at this point. Bending over backwards to just prove point number 5. Shout out to Nathan for the pay to boot. Like, literally bending over backwards to prove a point that you don't have evidence for. Thank you for proving point number 5, everybody. God damn. It'd be great if we didn't prove point number 5 over and over and over and over and over again. Also, shout out to May for the Cash App. May said, "What do you call a cow that fell in a hole? Holy cow." Nah, that's fine. That's a good one. Just remember, Twitch, if we do happen to hit our goal today, I'll do another sweater giveaway. We'll do a sweater giveaway today. I'm in a good mood. So if we do hit our goal today, we'll get a sweater giveaway over on Twitch. If we don't, then we won't. Super simple. It's just every time, dude. 219-327-8005. Call in if you want to debate. 219-327-8005. Hit that core button. That core button. If you're interested in debating today, any of the 5 topics. Here, In the 2019 proceedings, the immigration judge did not enter a final order of removal against Comar Garcia. Said the judge ruled that he could not be removed to El Salvador because he would face persecution there and granted withholding of removal at the time. Due to the protective ruling, no valid removal order was ever entered in 2019 that could legally be used to deport him. The clearest recent confirmation, this is from Reuters, is from a 2025 federal judge's decision. The court concluded that the government lacked a final valid removal order justifying Abrego Garcia's detention and attempted deportation, explicitly stating the government never secured such a formal removal order from any immigration judge in 2019 or afterward. Suck mine, bro. Zenas, who was nominated by Democratic President Barack Obama, found Abrego was entitled to release in part because an immigration judge had not issued a formal deportation order in 2019, and that judge barred his deportation to El Salvador because of a risk of gang persecution. Zenas wrote that without a formal order, the Trump administration has no lawful basis to detain and remove Abrego, and his continued detention must end. Lawyers for the Trump administration maintain that the 2019 decision from the immigration judge implied that Abrego was eligible for deportation and should be constructed as a formal deportation order. So it was implied. Can we please? Fuck, I need MAGA to fucking like sit on it and rotate, bro. Of course he never conceded, because why would he? Because they're either uneducated or bad people, and I educated him. And what did he say? He said, well, it still should have happened. And the most recent, what was the most recent update? Was, here it is. A U.S. judge on Thursday ordered the immediate release of Comar Abrego, whose wrongful deportation became a flashpoint in President Trump's immigration crackdown, ruling the U.S. government never secured a formal order for his removal from the United States. The order, blah, blah, blah. This, I should have just read this. The U.S. government never secured a formal order for his removal from the United States. That's all you need to read to prove that I was right and he was wrong. God, MAGA is fucking stupid. Anyway, let's take the next call. Coming up next, we have Ian. Ian wants to talk about gender-affirming care and thinks that it's a bad idea for minors to receive. Let's see why Ian thinks that. Ian, if you can hear me, please provide me with your age and pronouns.
Hi, I'm 22. My pronouns are he, him.
Okay. Now, Ian, you think gender-affirming care is bad for minors. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, why?
Well, I don't think that children being put on unnecessary extra hormones or medications that are unneeded is good for their developing brains and might have negative impacts later on in their life.
Might have, or you know that it will have?
Well, I would say they will have a lot of medications such as antipsychotics and things along those natures, just as an analogy.
Okay, so then you would have direct evidence that shows that, for instance, puberty blockers and hormones have a direct causal link to needing antipsychotics in the future.
No, I don't. I did not do enough research for this call, man. I'm going to hang up now.
Okay. Whoa. I mean, listen, at least he admitted. my God. Holy shit. Holy shit. We have no other calls in the queue because MAGA are scared little baby people. It looks like we've beaten all MAGA today. We've beaten all the scared little baby people. MAGA, where you at, dog? Why are you scared? Why are you scared? You were talking so much shit in the comments, and now where you is? MAGA was talking mad shit in the comments. Now they're... Can we get a theist call? A MAGA call? A turf call? What we got going on? Jovan, how do you choose what stock photo to use for thumbnails? I just look at whatever's funny. I use Canva or Shutterstock, and I just type in, like, let's say I know that the call was some dude yelling. I type in yelling man, and the first one I see that's funny, I grab. Listen, if we don't get any calls for the next 10 minutes, we're going to play horror games. That'll be 2 hours of debates, and then we're just going to switch and go play horror games on Twitch. I don't mind this being a little bit more of a gaming chat. A gaming stream. What? No, I'm not fucking talking to Coffee again. Fuck no. I'm not talking to that psychopath. You don't remember the fucking insanity that was the Coffee call? Absolutely not. Fuck no. I'd rather go fucking shove needles in my eye. Y'all don't remember the Coffee call? This motherfucker claimed God was real because drugs make people see God. That was his fucking whole claim at the end of the day. What game? I don't know. I've been meaning to play that Follow the Voice game. I've been playing a lot of cozy games in my spare time, and I've been having fun with those cozy games. But there's that game, Obey the Voice or whatever. I want to try that one out. Unless somebody can give me a fun horror game that's, you know, not like... Like, I don't want a long one, but a fun little horror experience. Experience? FNAF rewritten 87? Wait, what is that? That sounds fucking great. Ooh, what the fuck is this? Ooh, what is this? What? This is kind of sick. Let me check out the trailer. Oh, this looks sick as fuck. We're playing this. Oh, we're playing this. Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, shit. We're playing this. Fuck yeah. Oh, shit, bro. We found our game. Yo, who was the person that just recommended this? Who was that? Who just did that? Was that you, Murky? Yo. Big fucking dubs, bro. This looks sick. We played Mesite on stream before already. I've not played Squirrel with a Gun before. Listen, Coffee can call in again, but his last call was fucking insane. He called when I was with Forrest, right? I think it was Forrest that I was with. Okay, so this is for J Sol on YouTube. Mortuary Assistant is a great game. I need you to do a favor for me. Go to speedrun.com. Type in Mortuary Assistant. Okay, so type in Mortuary Assistant. Open up the game. Over on there. Go to history. Not history. Where is it? You specifically want... Oh, here it is. Go to filters and do... it's one of the versions. I don't remember which version it is. God, does anybody remember what version it was? They used to have just a thing that was like legacy runs. Where's the legacy runs? Where are the legacy runs? What the fuck? If you can find the legacy runs section where they give like all of the runs that used to be there, you'll see my name at the top of the list for the 100% legacy run. Because prior to, I think it's one of the most recent versions of the game, I had the world record speed run in Mortuary Assistant. I fucking worked my ass off for that, and then the game updated and I lost it because there were more endings added. And I just never felt like going and fucking completing it. It's been a while since I played the game. I haven't even seen what some of the newer endings are. But man, I miss my 100%. God damn, I miss my 100%. Maybe I need to get my 100% in that game. It was the only game I've ever 100%ed a speed run in. No, but we're fully playing this FNAF game, bro. This looks fucking sick, dude. Downloading this bitch right now. This bitch. You know what I need? I need somebody to make my scenes on Twitch. I need a fun gaming scene. I need somebody to make me like a fun little background for when I game. I should be looking at games on like itch.io, right? Like they seem more scary. Oh, I've heard Voices of the Void is crazy. Maybe I should get that game. I've heard that game go hard. Go hard as fuck, bro. I've heard that game go hard as fuck. No more debates. One person's being screened right now, so depending on how that screening goes, we might have another debate. But either way, I'm gonna play this FNAF game at the end of stream. Either way, this shit looks sick as fuck. It looks sick as fuck. Have you ever heard of No Means Nothing? No, is that a game? Bro, do I need to pull up Coffee's call and like listen to what he said his reasoning was? Hold on. Anybody remember when that call was? It had to have been... God. It would have been... Oh my God, I've been on YouTube for officially 4 years? Holy shit. I started uploading on YouTube January of 2022. What do we think? Do we think 65K subs over 4 years is good? Do we think that sounds? Is that pretty good? Are we? Is that Is that do we are? It was with Dalton, wasn't it? Oh, if it was with Dalton, I'll be able to find it. If it was with Dalton. Laws of God. Oh, here it is. Holy hell, this theist is on shrooms. That's what I called it. Wait.
Hey, did you know I'm doing
it? Toy Drive.
It doesn't matter.
Fine with anything.
No worry, it's hard.
Christian morality, is that true? So, Cafe, you think atheists get slavery incorrect when it comes to Christian morality, is that true?
I do.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you take Exodus 21, for instance, you know,
When does he start talking about the fucking crazy drug
sort
shit?
of reads like, you know, a statute in our modern law, subsection A. So you're essentially taking case law from Exodus 21
for
and
anybody
treating it
who
as
might
like
not
a moral
seen this,
center of
here's
the
the link
Bible.
to it.
You know, that section that I feel is
When
more
does he
about
talk
the
about
mitigation of punishment on slaves, or a way to assuage punishment, you know, rather than something God endorses. You know, it says
Exodus 21.
well, I mean, they've shown in studies today that they can induce this phenomenon in volunteers, and they even had atheist volunteers.
Drugs do a lot. Drugs can do a whole lot. Yeah, a lot of shit can happen when you drug somebody. Yeah,
it's crazy. This fella has been pushing this nonsense.
Where? Oh man, Dalton remembers. The Dalton remembers. Is that it? Is this the part?
For well over 15 years, and he's been corrected on this for well over a decade now. He was on the Atheist Experience with Matt Dillahunty. I've debated him before. He's been corrected on this.
This guy who's talking to us?
Yes. He's a perennialist. He's not even a Christian. He believes that all like the religions are like a manifestation of some ultimate mystical truth.
Well, that's because that's
right,
William James says mystical experiences are authoritative for the person who has them, but not binding on others. The problem with this is there's no objective method in his framework to separate a genuine spiritual insight from a psychosis, epilepsy, or drug-induced delusion. Yeah, it seems. Yeah. Where does he make the claim? He makes the claim here at some point. Oh, is this it? Where is it? What do you think of mystical experiences?
Well, mystical experiences, they're defining it as originally defined and laid down by William James. And so that's the original basis. He defined it in his book, The Varieties of Religious Experience. And a lot of the research, the more modern research, is a refined kind of model from that base version that William James laid down. So they don't mean anything supernatural in the sense that they're violating the laws of physics somehow, which is usually how I hear it.
Bro, Dalton's face while he's talking. I'm not talking to Coffee. I'm just letting you know, Winnie. I'm not going to talk to this motherfucker.
Find the term supernatural.
Actually, you know what? Fucking let his ass through. We have a birthday redeem, so I'm going to do the birthday thing first. Here comes a birthday redeem for Darth Vader.
You could be a birthday baddie too. A very happy baddie birthday to you.
Yo, you know what I need someone to do? I need someone to go onto YouTube and get all of the best pronoun crash outs from 2025 and just let me know what videos and timestamps so I can put together a compilation of the best pronoun crash outs of 2025. Plenty of people calling. There's somebody in the queue right now. I just haven't answered their call yet. Why? Does that upset you? Does that upset you, JTHM? That somebody's in the queue right now. I just haven't taken their call yet. So I'm just taking a break between calls. Aw, stupid. Oh. Jim asked me a question. Let me go and answer his question really quick. I don't really think anybody. Okay. Well, let's take this next call. Next up, coming onto the show, we have Kyle. Kyle thinks gender affirming care for youth is bad. So let's find out. Kyle, if you can hear me, please provide me your age and pronouns.
Hi, my name is Kyle Swafford. I'm 27 from Indiana, and he, him.
Okay. Now, Kyle, you said gender affirming care for youth is bad and should not happen. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, one second. Okay. So, why do you think gender affirming care is bad?
So would you agree the prefrontal cortex of the brain doesn't develop until the mid-20s fully?
The brain never stops developing. So, no, I would disagree with that.
The prefrontal cortex fully develops by the mid-20s.
No, never stops. It's always developing.
But they consider it fully developed when you're in your mid-20s. That's when scientists claim that it.
No, what happens in your mid-20s
maturity.
is your brain preens neurons that it's no longer using. And so that's been sort of misinterpreted as like, this is when your brain is like fully developed, but it's not really scientifically accurate to make that claim. So I tend not to.
Okay, then there has to be a certain period of time where you would agree that your brain develops fully enough to make accurate decisions about life choices.
It would depend on the choice, right? I think your brain makes you're able to make certain life choices at 16, you're able to make some at 14, you're able to make some at 15. Some I would reserve if they're specifically about like engaging with an adult, I would reserve those for 18. So it would just depend on.
I would agree that some youth, 14, 15, like you said, are capable of making those decisions. But I would argue that majority of children don't have that full brain capacity of their prefrontal cortex to make those life-altering decisions, and that we should limit our children's ability to make those decisions before they're
what life-altering decisions specifically are we talking about? Talking about gender affirming care?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I would disagree. I would disagree with that statement.
Our children, like if you say that, just a random number, if you said that 3 out of 5 children can make that decision, but you have 2 children that don't know how to make that decision accurately enough.
But what decision do you think they're making? Like specifically,
to have gender affirming care? Like
they don't make the decision on their own.
If you have 2 children that will regret it later in life, I feel that you shouldn't take that risk. Let them choose that when they're 18.
We shouldn't.
Older.
Hold on. 97% of people don't regret gender affirming care, so we shouldn't take the risk because 3% of people do regret it.
I'm not saying don't allow gender affirming care. I'm just saying with our youth, don't allow them to make that decision until they reach that age where we decide, okay, they're fully developed enough.
Yeah, I think when it comes to gender affirming care, that age is around 12, 13. That's when I think you've hit a point developmentally that you absolutely can take, like, for instance, pubertal suppressants. I have no problem with that. I don't think there's been shown any statistically significant side effects that aren't dismissed with monitoring from your doctor. So because of the benefits of this, I say go for it. As long as the parents agree medically, go for it. If the doctor's recommending it, why not?
So should we allow, based on that aspect of things, like they're allowed to make those decisions, so should we allow adults to have sex with children that are 14, 15 years old? Because
no, were you not listening earlier when I said, were you specifically, Kyle, not listening to me? Because I said that when it comes to the way children engage with adults in relationships, that we should wait till 18. Were you not listening when I said that?
But when you're talking about changing the sex of a child,
it has nothing to do with the way a child interacts with an adult, like sex does, which is something that happens where there are like power dynamics at play. This is about whether a child can take medical care as agreed upon by their doctors and parents. So I don't know how you're equating those two things to each other. They're pretty non-equatable.
Because I think when you're talking about making any sort of decision as a minor, when your brain's not fully developed enough to make those decisions, I don't think it matters what the decision is, whether it's gender affirming care
Again, you keep
or
saying when the
having
minor
sex with
makes a
adults
decision, do
or
you
smoking or
think
buying a car.
David, hold on.
I think
Dave.
you shouldn't allow children to make those decisions.
Kyle, you keep saying children are making the decisions. Do you think a kid walks into a doctor's office by themselves and gets puberty blockers or HRT?
No, but I think
No.
that children a lot of
Do you think
times
parents are
learn
allowed to
from their
make
parents and
Okay, hold
are
on, hold on.
persuaded by parents
I
to
would
make
love to
these
see
decisions
I would love to see
at
some
younger
evidence on that.
ages.
Do you have any evidence on that?
There's multiple videos online of children who
Videos online are not evidence.
break
I need
character
like actual
from what their parents want them to do.
Kyle, videos online is not evidence. I want to see statistical evidence that shows me that these kids are being manipulated by their parents. What you know what would tell me that? If the regret rate was higher than 3%, but it's not. So it doesn't seem like people are getting manipulated if the regret rate is 3%. Seems like they're maintaining these identities throughout their adult lives.
I would just disagree that they're
Based on what?
fully mature enough to make any sort of decision.
Sorry, wait.
that's
Address the point I just
significant in their
made,
life.
please. Address the point I just made. You're just going backwards in the debate. We know that you disagree with that, and we've had the debate up to this point. So address the point I just made. You said you think that parents should be allowed to make medical decisions. I think we'd both agree with this. And you're saying, but the parents are convincing the children that there's something that they're not. I brought up the fact that the regret rate is 3%. Address that point.
I can't speak to later in life what they're going to decide, and I haven't seen studies on that.
Okay, so then we're going to throw out the point you made about the
that
parents convincing them that there's something they're not. We're going to throw that point out because without any evidence on this, I can give you the studies on regret rate if you'd like them, but without any counter evidence from you, it's just a feelings-based argument, and I don't do feelings.
Regret rate doesn't tell you whether or not that child was persuaded to do that.
Yes, it would. Regret and desistance rates would 100% would tell us that. Yes, they would.
I can be persuaded to make a decision that's life-altering and then not necessarily regret it later.
Then if
I'm
you
not
don't
arguing
regret
whether they
it, what's
regret
the
it
issue?
later. I'm
if you don't regret it,
arguing
what's
the
the
fact
issue?
that
if you do not regret it,
But-
what is the problem?
Can you show me any study that proves that a child who does not get the gender affirming care that they necessarily want at the age that they want is going to regret it later? Can you speak to something that there's no studies on?
Can I speak to something there's no studies on? You mean are
if
adult
I don't give
trans
my
people,
child gender affirming care, are they going to regret it later that they didn't get it?
Are you asking if adult trans people regret waiting until they're 18 to start gender affirming care? Yes. Ask any adult trans person. Just ask them. There are tons of them in the chat.
Are there not people that
I can run a poll for trans adults.
Are there not people that decide not to do it and then don't regret the decision not to do it?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Are there people out there that think, when they're 13, 14 that they want gender affirming care and then they don't get it, and then later in life that they decide maybe, they didn't want it to begin with, that they thought they did, but they didn't? Can you show me any study that proves otherwise?
Huh? I'm sorry. I'm still not understanding what question you're specifically asking me here. I just might be crazy.
So you're arguing that there are people that don't get the surgery as children. They regret it later that they didn't start sooner.
Whoa. Are we talking about surgery? Most children don't get surgery. Surgery is reserved for people over the age of 18.
Just gender affirming care in general.
Yeah, so we'd be talking about specifically like pubertal suppressants and like HRT.
Yeah. So you're saying that there are people who don't get it when they're younger. They regret the fact that they didn't start it sooner. I'm saying that there have to be people out there that did not get the gender affirming care that they wanted, and then later in life decide maybe that was a good thing that I didn't do that at the time.
How would we ever get a study for that? Like, what question would I have to ask for that? Did you receive gender affirming care as a child? No. If no, are you happy that you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, that would be a simple way.
We don't have any
I mean,
studies.
there has to be people out there that I mean, if there are people
We
out
don't
there
have any
that
studies on
want
that.
it sooner and regret not doing that, there have to be people out there that are thankful that it didn't happen sooner for them.
Wait, I don't deny that some people don't need gender affirming care, medical care. That there are some people who hold on. There are some people who like social affirming care works for them, right? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about whether or not we should be allowing children to do this at all. If your thing is just, well, I want to make sure that kids who don't need it aren't given it, well, that means would you say, like, would it be beneficial? Let me offer up a suggestion. Let me hear what you think. Let's say if you wanted to get gender affirming care, you had to go through, like, I don't know, 6 months of therapy beforehand as a kid. Would you say that would be a good way to help make sure that this is only given to the people that need it?
I would say that's a start, yeah. I mean, but
what else? What if you need like a specific medical diagnosis for it? What if you needed a medical diagnosis in order to receive it?
I just feel like if they can get it at 18, I don't see the problem with them waiting until they're 18. If they want to make that life-changing decision, I think they should do it at an older age.
Here's the thing. You are not showing any harm that comes from them getting it early. You're saying, well, the harm is that what if they were convinced they needed it when they don't need it? That's not harm, right? You need to actually show statistically significant harm in this, right? My thing is going to be when I'm looking at gender affirming care, when I'm looking at gender dysphoria, and I see that gender dysphoria can have comorbidities such as suicidation and self-harm. And I'm looking at children who have severe gender dysphoria to the point where they have suicide ideations or self-harm. Hey, we need to correct this because a living kid is better than a dead kid. So my thing would be parents should do a benefit risk analysis. And what they should do is follow the current standards of care that we have. Might even need to lax it a little bit, but right now we're following the current standards of care, which is 6 months as a child. In order to even get diagnosed with gender dysphoria, it's 6 months of therapy or counseling where they have to show that they're consistent, insistent, and persistent on their gender identity. Then they will typically get started on pubertal suppressants for 12 to 24 months so they can think about whether or not they want to go to HRT. And then after that period, then they would go on HRT if they think it is the method for them. This method gives 2.5 years of time for parents and children that want to reverse that decision or say, hey, we don't think this is right for us, to do so. And that's the standard of care we currently have in the US. And I don't see an issue with this, except that there are some people who that wait time is still too much. All of this care should be individualized. We should never make a blanket level of, like, this is how we do everything blanket when it comes to medical care. It needs to be individualized.
I would just argue that if it's possible for, during sexual encounters for an adult to have a power play over a child, I would argue that it is possible that children in a household where they are sort of pushed to feel like they need gender affirming care could be subject to, that persuasion.
You want to
making their decision for
you want to punish a large group of people for, like, and when I say punish, I mean you are removing a standard of care that will quite literally save their lives because you're worried that a small group of those people might be manipulated. If that was the case, I would say the same thing about SSRIs. Hey, we shouldn't give some kids SSRIs because what about, I would say that for almost we have parents that have fucking Munchausen by proxy. Should we remove the ability for parents to make any medical decisions because we might get another parent like Gypsy Rose's mother? No. Yes, there could be some people that abuse the system. Sure, no system is infallible. But saying because there might be a small percentage of abuse, we need to fuck over all these other people is not the way to do it. The way to do it would be, okay, let's find a way to punish the people that abuse the system. But I don't think
How would you suggest going about doing so? How would you find
some instances where doctors did not follow the standards of care, and so people have sued them for medical malpractice? Totally fine with that. If you meet your doctor one time, your doctor says, "Here's HRT," unless like you're literally like have the gun to your head, I would say that's medical malpractice, and that's fine. I don't think there's enough evidence to show that parents are like transing their kids and forcing their kids into trans medical care. I think there could be issues where like because doctors have to go off of what the patients are telling them. So a kid could be saying, "Hey, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill myself," and not really mean it. Who knows? But I'm going to err on the side of caution 100% of the time. And that's why we should be doing, at least if you're getting it at the start of puberty, we should be doing pubertal suppressants for like 12 to 24 months. So that way you have time as the patient to acclimate and see if this is something you want to do. Your parents and doctors have time to check on you and make sure that the standards of care are being upheld. All these things should, like, it's a very easy and, in my opinion, very no-brainer way of making sure that these practices are followed through.
Would we at least be in agreement that gender-affirming care, as in transition surgery, should not happen at a young age?
I think that bottom surgery should most likely be held till 18. There are some instances where I think somebody who's 17 may meet the criteria that I think it's fine. But generally 18 is when you can have it. I think that's currently how it is. Like, I can really only think of like one example of somebody who got it at 17. Like, unless you're emancipated, then you're legally an adult. You can do whatever the fuck you want because you're legally an adult. But top surgery, though, I could care less if you get top. Like 15 and up, go nuts. I don't think top surgery is a big issue. I've seen fucking 16-year-old girls who convince their parents to give them boob jobs. I'm not gonna fucking now hold weight for
something like that can be reversible. So I would be on the same page there. So,
but yeah, bottom surgery.
I feel like
sure,
that's a good common ground that I think bottom surgery should not happen until 18, and then gender-affirming care.
But it's not just.
I understand your.
But Kyle, real quick, it's not common ground. That's the current standard of care. That's like currently what we do.
No, I mean, like, I just mean common ground as in, like, we at least agree on the bottom surgery portion, like, being 18. And then, I see what you mean about, the current standard of care being therapy and different stuff like that. And I didn't know the process was so long for, gender affirming cares and, hormone blockers and that sort of thing.
But that's what I'm saying. This is what a lot of people don't realize is it is a long process and it fucks over a lot of trans youth. There are, God, I was supposed to look for it the other day and I fucking didn't. There's a study where we looked at people who were able to easily access, I think it was masculinizing hormones. And then it looked at a group of people that weren't at youth age. And they found that the mental health comorbidities were worse in the people that weren't able to access it as quickly. Because we're screwing over a lot of people with the hoops and red tape. Now, I'm fine with some of the hoops, right? I think it does help, and I think it will help to consistently lower the rates for like detransitioners. So, and I want to make sure that they also are cared about in any of these conversations. But there are so many kids who aren't making it to 18 because they do not have access to these quite literally life-saving treatment methods. We got to think about them too.
Would you agree, though, that, like, this is off topic of the gender affirming care a little bit, but that maybe the disconnect between, the MAGA supporters and the Democrats is what it is we think that we're fighting for? I think that, there's uneducated people on both sides, and I feel like there's a lot of Democrats that aren't like you, I guess, that are
Well, I'm not a
pushing
Democrat.
for, bottom surgeries and stuff like that for youth. And I think that's where the
Ooh.
disconnect happens when we stop talking.
Wait,
and
but
when
Kyle,
we,
who? People say this all the time to me. They're like, what about all the people that are pushing for this? Nobody in office is pushing for this. Nobody with any like real platform is pushing for this. You might have fringe cases, just like there are fringe cases of Republicans who are spouting off Nazism, right? I don't think all Republicans are Nazis, but you're going to have fringe Republicans. So I'm not going to sit up here and be like, well, I recognize that the people who are like, don't get me wrong. I think you're going to have the blue-haired SJWs, the old Tumblr users who are like, there should be no barrier to entry for any sort of treatment and I just think there's barriers for entries for literally every treatment that exists. So that's crazy. But I think most people are rational enough to know that these are the minority of people and not less than a minority. I don't think that these people push past a percentage point when the rest of people are just looking at commonplace best practices to make sure that these children who are forgotten about in the system have advocates who are fighting to make sure they stay alive and they stay healthy.
I just think that I agree with you, and I think that though there are a lot of Democratic voices, especially in protests and certain things like that, the Tumblr users that you had mentioned, that make a loud enough voice to where sometimes the other side of the aisle feels like it's more than just a minority of Democrats that feel that there shouldn't be any barriers during these type of debates, and I think that's where you form an opinion about all MAGA people, and then MAGA people form an opinion about all Democrats. I think we're very disconnected, and I think at the heart of things, we're more connected than we think that we are. As a whole, I know the minorities aren't going to agree at all, but I think Democrats and MAGA supporters, when you really sit down and talk, obviously, like we have, like there is common ground there, and I don't think that it's accurate to say that all of us are bad people because we're on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah,
as I would say the same, about you.
The reason I think MAGA are bad people is I think that when MAGA are educated on what Donald Trump is doing or has done, either they change their mind and they don't vote for him anymore, which is the sane position, in my opinion, to take, or they double down and they go, well, I actually think it's a good thing that he sends people to concentration camps, in which case I'd say they're bad people.
I don't know that we're saying that they should go to concentration camps. I think it's more the opinion.
I debate MAGA every single day. There are absolutely MAGA people who are saying that these people should go. When I bring up the fact that there are innocent people going to concentration camps, they say good. They should.
I feel like with if you're talking about specifically immigration policies and stuff, I feel like the 14th Amendment is misconstrued and is a little.
You think the 14th Amendment is misconstrued?
Not like I feel like people don't understand the legality of immigration and what it takes to seek asylum and that sort of thing.
Let me just ask you something. When Donald Trump sends deported people to CCOT, are you okay with this?
CCOT being the imprisonment camps in El Salvador and stuff?
Yeah, the concentration camp in El Salvador.
I feel like there are certain people who should go to there. I feel like others, I don't feel like it should be sending them to, this camp in El Salvador. I feel like deportation as a whole should be a thing, obviously. I feel like
but
when somebody enters the country illegally and seeks asylum for a silly reason,
But Kyle, who should be sent to concentration camps?
I didn't say anybody should. I said they should not be.
You just said I think some people
if they
should
are sent to a jail or something like that in El Salvador, reserve that for the worst offenders that are in our country. Like,
Listen,
if you find somebody that's
But that's not what he's
committed
doing.
capital murder or something like that, then obviously they can't go to El Salvador and just be a citizen there. They would obviously need to go to an imprisonment camp there.
But again, that's not what Donald Trump is doing. He's sending innocent people who have not committed violent offenses, to seek out.
That I'm not saying that's a good thing. But what I will say is,
but do you
our
still support
political candidate can do certain things while they're in office that we don't necessarily agree with 100%.
Wait. But do you
Just
wait,
I'm sure Joe Biden.
You don't. I'm sorry. Is sending innocent people to concentration camps not a line in the sand for you? This is a big line in the sand for me. Same reason I don't support any president that was operating in office under the operation of Abu Ghraib. Abu Ghraib? How do you pronounce? I don't remember how to pronounce that, because they were sending literally innocent
that
people
being said,
to torture chambers.
Did you support Joe Biden wholeheartedly during his presidency?
Which concentration camp did Biden send people to?
He didn't. But do you support the fact that he allowed the border crisis to be as big as it was during that? I mean,
how did he do that?
Kamala Harris was our border czar, was she not? She was, as vice president, she's in charge of the southern border and the crossings that happen every day.
Kyle, we're getting into topic number 5, okay? And what I'm about to do really quickly is I'm going to educate you on Kamala Harris's border history. Now, at the end of this, you're either going to admit that you were wrong about voting for Trump, or you're going to double down. So we're going to see. Kamala Harris was tasked with a very specific job at the southern border. Do you know what it was?
Not being illegal immigration, I would assume.
Nope. She was tasked with finding out why the Northern Triangle countries, why the immigration rates were so high from there, both legal and illegal. Those 3 countries are Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. That's the very specific thing she was tasked with. She went to those countries and talked to those countries' leaders and found out that their immigration was stemming from poverty issues. So Kamala Harris worked with those countries to create programs to bolster the economy. And what we saw was a direct decrease in border crossings from those 3 countries of 300,000 people. Congress has an entire thing on this, this is the number. So Kamala Harris's track record at the border was stopping immigration without sending anybody to a prison camp. So, yeah, I would have voted for her over Trump every time on the border, because she has a proven track record of being able to lower border crossings, and both legal and illegal, without sending people to concentration camps.
But they can't, just because she does 3 countries and has success with those 3 countries,
she was only
doesn't mean her overall immigration, during the Biden administration was an acceptable number to have.
Sure. Let's talk about the Biden administration. Donald Trump came into office 2025. He said, in the first year I am in office, I will deport 1 million people. Do you know how many he deported for 2025?
I have no clue.
About 600,000.
I know it was over 1 million.
No, 600,000.
Or I thought you were talking about, you said
this is for deportation. This is Trump.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Biden.
600,000 people. Now, Joe Biden was deporting people, and to my knowledge, wasn't sending them to prison camps, right? Do you know how many people in 2024 Joe Biden's administration deported?
And I know it was over the number that Trump did his first year.
680,000. So Biden's administration, if we're talking about our policies at the border and we're talking about deportation and all of this, Biden was able to deport more people without sending them to prison camps. Without doing this crazy amount of civil rights violations that I can see from Donald Trump. I'm sure there were some, but nowhere near
Under the
the
Biden
excess.
administration, though, there was significantly more border crossings happening.
Yep. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. For about a year of Donald Trump's administration, border crossings were incredibly low because we were in COVID and we had laws on the books that said, well, because of COVID, we can send people back. Like, there was a whole thing. Do you know the two biggest drives of illegal immigration into any country? The two biggest things that are going to drive that?
I would absolutely say poverty.
Yep. 100%. There's one more.
Fear for their lives, I guess.
Nope. It's going to be barriers to legal immigration. So if somebody's poor or whatever the reason they're coming from another country and they're like, I want to come to America. And it goes, hey, I want to come to America. Oh, shit. Getting in legally is going to cost me a fuck ton of money, take me forever. And while I'm waiting, I have to wait in my country, which might be harmful to me, whatever. They're going to come in illegally, right? In Donald Trump's first term between 2017 and 2020, he lowered legal immigration by about 11.8 million people, 12 million to round up. So he lowered legal immigration for all of these people. That was by the removal of green cards, the removal of visa issuers. Like, he literally wasn't handing out visas and green cards as much because he didn't want people to be able to legally immigrate here. There's also the fact that he limited family and job sponsorships. Like, he quite literally made it harder to come in the country legally. During Biden's full term, the full 4 years post-COVID, like, right, COVID ends, people come back over the border. Do you know how many people it was estimated came in during Biden's presidency?
No.
Mm-hmm. It's about 12 million. Now, I'm not going to claim there's a direct cause here, right? We'd have to analyze that a bit more. But doesn't it seem like a weird coincidence that Trump limits immigration by 12 million people, and then we get 12 million people illegally coming into the country in the next 4 years? Seems kind of weird to me.
I would agree that I don't think our immigration needs to be 12 million per year regardless. I think that's a lot of people to bring into our country, and I don't know that we have.
It wasn't 12 million per year. It wasn't 12 million per year. 12 million, he decreased it by 12 million over his full term. Then Biden received 12 million entering over his full term.
But that's what I'm saying. We can't justify illegal border crossings by saying, oh, well, it's because
I'm not justifying the crossings.
Those.
We're not justifying the crossings, right? I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that it's a weird coincidence that we know that barriers to legal immigration makes illegal immigration rise, and that Trump put barriers that limited, we have the number, 12 million people, and then we saw a rise in 12 million people. Obviously, there are other reasons for them coming over, but that's a really weird coincidence that those numbers map on so directly.
I just don't think we have the infrastructure to handle as many as we have been letting in per year. And I think that's why Trump took that stance
based
of
on what?
lowering it by 12
based
million
on what
people.
Are you saying we don't have the infrastructure? Like what study?
Our housing is skyrocketing due to immigration. Our
housing's not skyrocketing.
Everything in our country is.
Immigration isn't the reason for housing skyrocketing.
How is it not? If you're letting 12 million people in, that's 12 million single-family residences that are going to be occupied by immigrants at that point.
A few things we need to look at. A few things we need to look at. One, when we look at people who are coming over the border, they tend to live more people to a home. That's just a simple fact of life. They tend to live more people to a home.
Well, I'm not saying it's person for person, that many single family homes, but it's going to take single family homes out of, less of them are going to be available when you let X amount of people in our country per year.
Here's the thing. You know what we should do instead of just saying, like, let's do mass deportation? Why don't we build more homes? Why don't we build more homes? Why don't we build more
to?
Well, no, because these people.
Why don't we convince these people to make their country better?
Well, wait. So I would love to do that, right? Let's take a country, for example. I don't know. Venezuela. I don't know why that one comes to mind. I would love for us to make that country better. That's not what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump has decided, I'm going to go steal all of their oil and put American people in charge of their oil and siphon off all of their oil for us, which does not mean they're going to get paid for their oil. That's not making their country better.
Who made the financial sacrifices to make those oil fields? Because that was us
What?
before the regime
No.
change.
Exxon.
Before
Hold
Maduro.
on. Exxon paid because they wanted the oil. So they were like, we want this oil. It doesn't mean the oil was theirs. They had contracts, and those contracts were not renewed by countries that are legally able to not renew those contracts. So the flip of that is not, let's go bomb Venezuela and take the oil. No, it's that you legally don't have claim to that oil anymore. And they didn't. In fact, doesn't Exxon
wasn't that it
still
was
owe?
just not
Exxon still owes Venezuela legally like billions of dollars. Where's that money?
From my understanding, it was before the Maduro regime that we paid for their oil, supplies to increase in exchange for oil rights to their country, and they completely cut us off of those oil rights that I don't know that I've never seen anything that says that Exxon just didn't have their contracts renewed. It's more the regime change took basically
Took the
did
contracts
not
away.
follow the contract
They're
and
legally allowed
allow
to do that. They're legally allowed to say we're not going to work with you anymore. They're a whole country, and I had that backwards. Venezuela owes Exxon for doing this. They owe Exxon like 1.6 billion. So that's what Exxon has right to, is the money they owe them. They don't have right back to the oil.
They, under their original contracts for building these oil rigs and stuff and refineries and stuff, they do under those contracts
They
have
no.
right to
They've
a
gone.
portion
They've already
of the
gone to
oil.
court for. They've already gone to court for this. They have a right to the money owed to them. Right? They don't have a right to the oil anymore. They have a right to the money that's owed to them for Venezuela leaving them alone. That's it. They don't have a right to that oil.
And when we did this regime change, well, I call it a regime change because it ultimately is going to lead to a regime
stop,
change.
just really quickly. At the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, like keeping everything copacetic here, we aren't doing anything to benefit Venezuela. Taking Maduro, putting Americans back in charge of Venezuelan oil is not going to benefit Venezuela. All it benefits is
no, but I think the regime change part of things and getting somebody in there
maybe,
who's not
but
Maduro.
every other time America has done a regime change, it really hasn't helped the countries that have had those regime changes. But that being said, I do need to move on now. We've been on the phone for 38 minutes, so thank you for calling in. If you want to call back another day, feel free. But like I said, it's been 38 minutes, and we got to move on. Shout out to Dead Punk for the pay to boot in YouTube chat. But yeah, I don't know how we're... I don't know, dude. I don't even know how we got onto Trump. That's fun. Hey, Coffee, does God exist?
Well, it depends on what you mean by God, I guess.
What do you mean when you say God?
I would define it in terms of, in classical theism, they call it the ground of being, or in the perennial philosophy, it's referred to as the absolute.
Okay, do you think a being created the universe?
Well, see, that's what I would avoid. Terms like being kind of have connotations towards like an anthropomorphic entity, which I would reject.
Oh, okay. No problem then. Bye. I didn't want to talk to Coffee. I just wanted to make him wait on the fucking line. Dude, I have this weird soreness inside my neck. Like when I turn or like put pressure, it weirdly hurts. I should probably find out why that is. That's all our calls. That's the call portion of the show right there, baby. No, if Coffee wants to call back, when I have like Forrest or somebody back on, or Dalton or somebody, I just don't give a shit about any of that. We're gonna end there. Let's read our super chats. Oop, that's not the button I wanted. This is the button I wanted. Let's read our super chats. Our super thoughts. Wait, what? Here it is. First up on our super chat tank. From Joshua Everett said, I ain't uneducated. My parents are only third cousins. MAGA, true. Thank you so much. Tetsu to MS said, Kingdom Hearts 4 when? Probably never at this point. We have Rise Again 845 said the Tim Walz thing started with right-wing slop tube, tons of such channels with no accountability. How do we come back from this as a country? Fuck if I know, dude. Literally no idea. Like no clue, dude. Genuinely no fucking clue. It's so crazy. How do we come back from fucking bullshit? I don't know. From Mad About Browse said, hey, I've been getting pushed more Christian/conservative content in the past few days too. Yikes. Always say unlike. Ladies, from Dead Punk 2 said, ladies and gentlemen, this is MAGA number 5. That's funny. This is something new. Right play. Thank you for the super chat. Said, ask him to say propane and propane accessories. No. Ant-Man 01 said, here's 5 from Soros. Thank you, George Soros. Thank you for the money. Time War 666 said, hey, Jovan, could you ask Jason if the reason he's uneducated is because his parents are brothers and sisters to each other? No, I don't think uneducated has anything to do with being an incest baby. Agent Miskatonic said, this guy's doing a really bad job of showing that MAGA isn't uneducated or that they aren't just evil. True. Right Plight again said, he said there was a removal order in 2019. You asked him if you would admit you were wrong. Now that he's wrong again, will he admit it? Spoiler, no. Literally. From Jamama Mama. I don't know if that was how you pronounce that. Jamama said, glad you're doing what you're doing. I would donate more, but I got laid off because Trump cut science funding and it affects the private sector too. Please don't donate if you don't have it. Please save that money for yourself, friends. Dead, just like, I better not see anybody ever send those fucking, what are they? Those fucking, like $2,000 sub shit on fucking Twitch. Don't ever fucking do that shit. I'll be so annoyed. Dead Punk said, what are your top vocal stims that live rent-free in your head? It changes every day. I don't think I have a vocal stim today right now. I can't think of what, I've been asleep most of the day, so I can't think. Fake Gaming Nerd said, back watching the stream, Jovan slipping and saying Obama's pregnancy just shows how much of a trans ally he is. Yo, true? God Sinner says, if I get $1 for every time you have to tell somebody about what Kamala did at the southern border, I could send a few more super chats. It really has been like literally every stream this week. I've had to explain what she did at the southern border. And then finally, Dead Punk said, boots for the boots liquor, bums for the bum throne. W? Thank you guys so much for the super chats. That is it for our stream over on YouTube. If you'd like to come over to Twitch, we're going to play some horror games where I'm going to get spooked. It's going to be spooky. Come join us for that. If you don't want to join us for that, go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Sorry to Andrew Wilson. I know you called in and you were waiting in the queue, but we ran out of time. So hopefully we have time to get to you next week. Thank you, YouTube, for being here, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.